for the thumbnail. Hi, I'm Betty. I'm a grateful person in recovery, divine spiritual being living a temporary human experience. I had a near-death-like experience in 2019, totally transformed my life. Took me from a homeless meth head prostitute strung out on heroin to a divine, abundant, spiritual being living the most coolest, badass life ever. I just came out of I have like a little community. We meet on Tuesdays, and tonight our topic was spiritual bypassing. You guys ever heard of it? Spiritual bypassing is basically like when, you come to somebody with a problem or maybe like a lower like quote unquote lower emotion, like anger or rage or frustration or depression or sadness. And somebody says, good vibes only, man. Or, or even, the idea around pre-birth planning. If you are familiar with my story, then you know that I had a pre-birth experience, but pre-birth planning can be a way to spiritually bypass as well. So somebody might be dealing with some like health or wellness challenge and saying like, oh, well, I must have planned it. I just must have planned that I'm supposed to be a hopeless drug addict. I must have just planned that I'm supposed to suffer with depression for the rest of my life. And they'll just bypass the inner spiritual work. So yeah, this whole idea that, good vibes only, like that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like we can't spiritually bypass. But I will say that in the beginning of my spiritual journey, all I did was spiritually bypass. And I was super self-righteous. And I was a spiritual narcissist. And that came up so much in this meeting today that I felt like I needed therapy. Like I feel like I need therapy right now. And going live is part of my therapy. But in the beginning of my spiritual journey, before my spiritual experience, I was a narcissist. So if you think that narcissists can't recover, maybe they can. Am I still a narcissist? I don't know. I am staring at myself, talking to myself inside of a phone right now. So maybe I still am a little bit, but aren't we all? But yeah, I hear victimization when I hear people say like, oh, I was with a narcissist. And I saw like a meme earlier today and it said, you don't attract toxic people. That's not the problem. Toxic people will always come into your life. Like toxic people exist, the end, period. But the problem is that you allow toxic people to stay in your life. And so that's really what needs to be worked on. Not to get the toxic people away, but to get you to have clearer, stronger boundaries and to not allow that nonsense into your life. So anyway, I don't even know really why I went live. Oh, I do. I wanted to know I want to conceptualize a new workshop. Like if you guys wanted to come to a workshop, what would you want it to be around? I feel like I really want to I'm doing a Heal Your Inner Teenager workshop. I feel like that one can come in really handy. Some that I've done in the past are Heal Your Inner Saboteur. I always try to do like at least one manifesting workshop. But I feel like I want to go deep. I want to get like into the trenches with people, like I don't want to just be like, oh, manifest your life. Do you want a boyfriend? Here's how you get one. I mean, that stuff is cool too. But I want to do like deeper stuff. Like I want to like gut people out. I want to do a workshop about victim mentality. I feel like, I don't know. Okay, let's see. Denise said, unless it's a parent, then you're stuck for a while. But that's not true, Denise, because you can just walk away from your parent. Like, I mean, unless you're like a child. And then, yeah, that is unfortunate. And I do think that some of that stuff is centered around pre-birth planning. Like we choose to have, certain like parents because we have to mislearn everything to then unlearn it and relearn it the right way, which is the joy of the journey. But I think that it doesn't even matter if you don't have narcissistic parents, you're still going to get fucked up by your parents. Like that's just the human condition, is to like learn improperly. Okay, Denise said, what about a Feel Your Fucking Feelings workshop? Because that's actually hard. Yeah, that's so true. Feel your feeling. Why? Yeah, people just want to like run away from their feelings so much. People don't want to feel sadness. They don't want to feel grief. They don't want to feel anything. They just want to be like happy. And I'm telling you, if you just wanted to be happy, you would have stayed in heaven. You would have stayed there. You wouldn't have come here. You would have been somebody's guide instead of coming here to have the experience. Okay, another suggestion from Nicole. People pleasing, scared of confrontation, no boundaries because uncomfortable with shadow self. Is this a topic idea? Maybe I think I'm just going to do a shadow workshop. I think that's what it's going to be. Because I would encompass all of that. Oh my God, Course in Miracles workshop. I'm writing these down. That's a good one. Rebecca Castle's here. Hi, Rebecca. We're just talking about narcissists and people pleasing and the shadow. But yeah, that the meeting was actually incredibly triggering for me. So thank God. Thank God for triggers. Triggers are our teachers. And I almost said to one of my friends in the chat, I was like, I quit this group. Even though I started it, I quit it. Okay, my next workshop's going to be a shadow workshop for sure. It's going to be super affordable. Come get your shadow work on. Here's the thing about shadow work. This is what I do. You know, I work with people one-on-one all the time, and we do shadow work together. The thing about doing shadow work is that I use this analogy. The analogy is that you're about to go walk into a deep, dark cave. Totally pitch black. What do you need to walk into a cave? Well, you should probably have a flashlight because that's important. So that's that's like your anchoring statements, like your connection to spirit. What is that like? You should probably have somebody else with you because you don't know where you're going inside of this cave. So like that would be me or whatever spiritual teacher you find along the way that you really resonate with, that you feel safe with. And then the person that you're with, your friend, they better have a flashlight too. And then you have to have this harness, like a harness that connects you to something bigger and stronger than yourself. So like when you're actually rock climbing or going into caves, I don't know what those people are called, but cave dwellers, I'm sure that you're anchored to like a solid rock, like to something very sturdy outside. So that's your connection to spirit. So you have to get really clear on what all that shit is first before you go diving into the recesses of your mind, into this deep, dark cave. And you better make sure that your partner, whoever's going into the cave with you, is also harnessed up. Make sure that their connection to spirit is very strong as well, because they're going to spot you. And so when I first started doing shadow work, I didn't have any relationship with God. Yes, I had a connection to God because I had this really crazy spiritual experience, but I had not developed a relationship with God. And that was the key missing component. So it's always the first thing I do with people when I work with them, because I went into that fucking cave by myself with no anchor, no flashlight, no harness, and it fucking sucked. And I almost killed myself because of it. It was so scary. I went into that cave like like a little kid, like, I can totally do this all by myself. I'm totally fine. And it was really like probably one of the biggest, it worked out in the end, but it was it made my life much more painful. Anyway, why am I sharing all of this? I don't know. Book me to be your coach. No, because I'm going to host this shadow work workshop next month. But it is really important to have a clear connection to what it is that you have to know that there's something bigger than you. There is something bigger than you. If you haven't seen it in your own life, look at my life. You can look for evidence of it in other people's lives if you really don't see it in your own life. But you used to be a sperm inside of a testicle. And now you are an actual living, breathing, walking human being. Okay, that's a fucking miracle. Like something bigger must exist. You were cooked inside of another person's body for 9 months. Like how could you not believe that there is something bigger out there that wants nothing but awesomeness for you? You're a fucking alien. Okay, you were literally cooked it blows my mind. We're floating around on a rock in the middle of outer space. Like the fact that we exist is miraculous. We are miraculous. And you're totally entitled to all the miracles in the world. Somebody at some point in your life, whether it was a parent or a sibling or a teacher or society or anything like that, somebody told you that you weren't meant to shine, that you weren't meant to be big. I can distinctly remember all throughout my childhood, my parents told me that I could be anything that I wanted when I grew up. And I was like, well, I want to be an astronaut. And they were like, absolutely, baby, you can do anything that you want. You want to be an astronaut? You can be an astronaut. And then somewhere around 12 years old, the question came up again. What do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, well, I still want to be an astronaut. And they were like, get real, loser. You can't fucking be an astronaut. You have to be something practical, like an accountant. Make sure that you're good at math. That's what's important. And all my dreams were completely crushed in that one moment. And I'm sure that happened to you too, because it's part of the human condition. Is that not a lot of us have people that really inspire us to be super big, because we're all wired for safety, not success. Our parents included. It's nobody's fault that we're taught this. This is just the way of the world. We learn all of these things so that we can unlearn them at some point in our life and then relearn things the quote unquote right way. So it's the joy of the journey. It's what it's all about. Like, what would we be doing here if it was just like easy sailing all the way through life? My phone's dying. Okay, let me stop going off on a tangent and read what people were writing. This is my favorite part of watching someone's live, when they're like, oh, affirmation, thank you. Oh, hearts, thank you. Spelunking, thank you, Rebecca. Somebody said, thank you for all you do, Betty. You are a fascinating human being. Thank you. Denise said, oh no, don't become an accountant, says an accountant. That's so funny. But really, like, we're all meant to create. We're all meant to do something creative. We didn't come here to be accountants. I mean, maybe some of us did. No, actually, I don't believe that for a second. None of us did. Because we shouldn't even fucking have taxes. So, like, why is accounting even a thing? Right? That's what I'm going with that. Okay, my phone's really crooked, sorry, because I'm trying to charge it. I think Betty did a 180 from being an accountant. Yeah, I ended up being a prostitute. Not a great look. Imagine if somebody's parents were like, you should be a prostitute. I mean, actually, I'm sure somebody's parent out there must have once said that, like encouraged. I've watched Soft White Underbelly. Lots of people's parents encourage them to do that. Anyway, let's not get too dark, shall we? Anyway, my whole point is this. You can do anything that you want. You could fucking fly. Don't quote me on that. But like, I do believe in things that miraculous. And I think that right now there's some sort of shift happening that's exposing people to a different layer of the dream. So, like, have you guys ever seen the movie Inception? Brilliant work of art, right? It's actually real reality. It was a big part of my spiritual experience because I had never read a book. So they just kept showing me movies. They were like, oh, the world is like what dreams may come. And the world is like The Matrix. And the world is like Inception. And I couldn't remember the movie Inception while this was happening in my spiritual experience. And I was like, remember, try to remember. And I was so mad at myself that I couldn't remember the movie. But I have since watched the movie over a dozen times. And so I've been able to, construct a good theory around it. But we are in a very deep layer of the dream. We've gotten lost, like so lost. And so it seems like time is moving at a different rate than it actually is. Like in heaven, where real reality is, everything is happening in one instant. Time doesn't exist. But as we fall into further and further layers of the dream, time does exist. And it seems to go very slow here. But like really, actually, nothing's happening. It's literally one instant. So inside of this deep layer of the dream, we have the opportunity to wake up into other layers of the dream. This is what spiritual awakening is. And an awakening doesn't have to happen in a near-death experience. It doesn't have to happen in some kind of psychedelic experience. It can just happen from opening a layer of awareness. Maybe right now, my words are opening a layer of awareness for you. This is my little magic wand. Boop. Now you are awoken. So as I feel like right now there's a big collective kick happening and everybody is waking up to a different layer of the dream. I cannot tell you how many people in my life are manifesting super fast. Their dreams are coming to fruition. Doors are closing. New doors are opening. Everything is falling into place. Everything is in divine right order, all at the exact same moment. And so I really do feel like there's a lot happening right now in this energy today. Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, definitely part of the fabric of reality. Also, in my experience, they showed me Risk Cutters, a love story. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that movie, but it's fantastic. And I think that it is actual reality as well. That's so funny. Somebody said anyway, it doesn't matter what they said. So many of my coaching clients are coming in because they are waking up. Their minds are blown. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you're there to hold space for them, Rainbow Dawn. That's amazing. Put your coaching website in the chat so people can come support you. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Anybody have any spiritual questions that they want answered from an old homeless crackhead? It still blows me away that people want to know anything from me because of who I used to be. But I guess that's the power of spirit, you know. Spirit has the ability to transform any of us. So I want you to think about that when you're thinking about the person that you feel victimized by, or the person that, you know, you feel like they were a villain in your life. They have the opportunity to change and transform. If I do, they definitely do. And they will. I think this all the time. You know, so many people hate Donald Trump. And, you know, obviously, like, he's an idiot. But I really do think that Donald Trump is going to have a spiritual awakening. I think that he will have a spiritual awakening in his lifetime. And then, like, he'll be making, you know, like, he'll be doing press conferences about fucking the true nature of reality and higher consciousness and meeting God and stuff. And it'll be so funny and people will be blown away and he'll be so heart-centered and nobody will understand and everyone will be so confused. I really think that's going to happen. I've been saying that for years now. Okay, let's see. Somebody said... Hi, Jenny. Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love was a really good initial wake up for me. Yeah, that's great, Denise. Awesome. Really good. How does one become less reactive to an old wound they didn't realize they still had? Well, you got to heal. I mean, you have sometimes the same salve that we used before on a wound no longer works. So like at some point in my life, I became allergic to Neosporin, but I know that I wasn't always allergic to Neosporin. And so to me, it's actually spiritual foreshadowing and it's just the dream revealing itself. My old healing techniques do not work on how the wounds show up in my life today. So at some point in time, certain techniques worked for healing and now they don't anymore. And so I have to find new techniques. And so it's really important to stay open-minded to discovering what those new techniques are. Yeah, sometimes the same, you know, you can't put the same Band-Aid on an old wound, right? Because like at a certain point, the Band-Aid loses its stick or maybe it falls onto the ground and it's covered in carpet and dirt. And then you try to like lick it and put it back on and it no longer works. So for me, my Band-Aid was alcohol and drugs and sex and men and codependency. And all of those things were my Band-Aid for a long time. And I would put them on these infected, pussy, energetic wounds all over my body. And it would work for like a second. It would stay on stuck for like a second, but then it would fall right off and I'd have to pick it right back up again and lick it and put it back on. And that happened all day, every day for 20 years of my life. So somebody asked, oh, hey, Esther. Esther asked, how often do you meditate? I never meditate. Okay. I don't do like standard meditation where I just like sit and zen out on a pillow and like, I don't do that. I meditate while I exercise and I exercise nearly every day. Not for like a huge amount of time, just 15 minutes of cardio. My meditation time is spent with my inner child. That's where I'm at in my healing process right now. One day it might change. It has in the past. I'm sure it will in the future. But every day for 15 minutes, I spend time with my inner child. We dance, we play, we lip sing. We're rock stars. We love each other. We have a band. The band is comprised of my internal family. My dad's on bass. My mom's on the drums. My little baby sister, she's 2 years old in this vision. She's on the piano, like a little baby piano. And we rock the fuck out. And that is how I meditate because it brings me into such a state of joy. Now, this is not a family that I ever knew in real reality, but it is my internal family. It's my internal healed family. And so my meditation is spent with them every day. And it's so fun. We have a blast together. Sometimes I cry a little bit because like it just makes me so happy to have this relationship with these parts inside of me. And then sometimes it makes me cry because, like I'll never get to experience that in this lifetime. But I know that it's being experienced somewhere in the ether because it feels so real. It feels so tangible. So that's my little meditation technique. Thank you for letting me share. Do you have spirit guides you feel connected with now in this life? Also, out of curiosity, what are your coaching sessions like? My coaching sessions are life-changing. Everybody has orgasms. We just like roll around in millions of dollars and it's tits. So if you're interested, sign up. I have so many spirit guides, it's sick because I'm constantly calling on them. Your connection to your spirit guides is like exercising a muscle. So you have to do it constantly, vigilantly, all the time. You can't just like call out and be like, where are my spirit guides? And then just fucking don't do anything about it anymore. You have to always be in communication. It's just like any other relationship. If I want to become friends with somebody, I can't just start a friendship by talking to a person once a year or even once a month. How are we going to get to know each other? We're not. It's going to be like a real slow developing relationship. So instead, like I love bomb my spirit guides and I talk to them all the time and I develop a relationship with them. And the more that I communicate with them, the stronger the relationship is, the more I can rely on them. And it's all imagination and intuition. I have people ask me this in sessions all the time. Like when we start to do parts work and develop teams and develop the shadow and stuff, they say, but am I just making all of this up? And my answer is yes, you are making all of this up. We are making literally everything up. Like the fact that I think that I'm a person, that's made up. This mouse right here, this is made up. Is it dirty? And like sometimes it has food on it. This pen is made up. This phone is made up. Everything around us is a fucking dream. This is all crafted by our imagination. When you go to sleep at night, you create a whole universe with your eyes closed. What makes you think that you aren't doing the same thing with your eyes open? You are. But we're having a collective dream. And so we've all decided upon certain, quote unquote rules in this dream. Like one of the rules is that like you age and you die. That's one of the rules, right? Is it? I don't know. Can we change it? Probably. If we all collectively decided to change it, we definitely could. What are some of our other rules? We pay taxes. Like what the fuck? Who decided this? Why? Why do all of these constructs exist? Can we change the constructs? Can we get new ones? I think that we can, and I think that we're in the process of doing that. Okay, I went off on a tangent. Okay, Joellen said, I'm learning to integrate my own spiritual practice into my coaching. It can be very confronting, and sometimes you just have to throw the parachute up and trust. Totally. There's no way to fuck this up. That's my number one message to everybody in the whole wide world. You cannot mess this up. There's no way to mess up what's meant for you. What's meant for you will always find its way to you. Let me tell you about an example from my real life. Certain things are predetermined. Like if you have a passion inside of your heart, it's not there by accident. It's there because you planned it. And all you have to do is just take the action steps to get there. One way that I know that everything that's meant for me will always find its way to me is like a crazy story. Okay. So I've been married a couple times, like 3. I'm quite a catch. They just throw me back and forth. But my first husband and I, we got married when we were really young. And then like literally 3 weeks after we got married, my parents committed suicide. So that'll fuck up a relationship, And so we got divorced like maybe 5 months after that, after we got married, because we were basically children anyway. We just could not handle it. But right before we got divorced, my husband got he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, with juvenile diabetes. He was in his early 20s. And it was like this crazy life-altering thing. Like we had to change our whole lifestyle because he was, he had this thing. Anyway, we got divorced. Fast forward 9 years later, I start dating this man. And like we're dating each other and I'm not really into him because I'm like obsessed with this other guy, pattern in my life. But I'm dating him to like bide my time or whatever. And I decide that I want to break up with him. So we go out and like I do this whole breakup speech. And he says, listen, I got to tell you something. I'm in kidney failure. I only have months to live. I'm about to get a kidney transplant from my mom, and all I want to do is be with you. Please don't break up with me. And I was like, wow, this dude pulled the death card. That's crazy. I can't break up with him now. So I stayed with him, and it turned out that his mom wasn't able to be his donor, and he started dialysis. But so, okay, when he told me this thing about him needing a kidney, I don't know why, but for some reason I went and stalked my ex-husband. And this was not a thing that I regularly did. I would admit it if I did. But I probably hadn't looked at my ex-husband's social media in like 5 or 6 years, but I happened to decide to look at it. And he had just put a post up that he was in kidney failure and he needed a kidney. Okay, so this is how I know that what's meant for you will always find its way to you, because I could have stayed married to that initial husband, and 9 years later, I would have been dealing with the fact that my partner needed an organ and was dealing with a health challenge. But instead, I took all these twists and turns and loops and like dozens of men and other marriages and divorces and addiction and rehab and all these different twists and turns. And I still ended up at the same point. I was with a partner who needed an organ. Same time, my boyfriend died. My ex-husband's still alive. That's the end of that story. Okay, let's see. Somebody said they love my interview. Thanks. That's just me in real life. So authentic. You'd be far less interesting if you weren't a former crackhead prostitute. That's a fact. And you know what? I used to also be really, really fat, which is why I'm funny. Because fat girls are funny. Okay, I think my roommate is going through my underwear. Advice. Get it on camera, okay? Put it on OnlyFans. People will pay for that shit. Vincent, you're hilarious. Sometimes I find that old wounds have roots that are even older that have to be uncovered. Yeah, that's so true. And sometimes our old wounds have like past lives, you know, like who knows? It could go really, really deep. I mean, sometimes it doesn't have to be that deep, but somebody said I meditate and fall asleep. Oh my God, me too. One time so through this whole process, I got to do something really cool, and that was that I met Robert Schwarz. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but if you're into the idea around pre-birth planning, you probably do. He's like one of the most famous authors when it comes to pre-birth planning, and he came to a talk that I was giving, and he was just sitting in there, and I was like, holy shit, that's Rob Schwarz. And then I constructed my whole share to like try to impress him. I mean, my share is impressive as it is, but like, I could feel myself leaning into like all these pre-birth concepts and stuff because I knew that he was in the Zoom room. Anyway, after I gave my presentation, he wanted to talk to me. He was like, hey, I'd love to do like a private Zoom with you. And I met him and his wife, and we had like this private conversation about pre-birth planning. And it was like, it blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I was like such a fangirl. Anyway, he gifted me a Between Lives regression that he hosts, you know, and I was so excited because at this point in time I was super broke and there was no way that I was ever going to be able to afford that, and it was gifted to me, and I was like, wow, God really wants me to do this. This is so cool. Why did I fucking fall asleep for the meditation? I fell asleep through the whole regression. I was massively disappointed. Fast forward, they gift me another one because I tell them this hilarious story that I fell asleep. And they give me another one. What happens the next time? I fucking fell asleep again. I fell asleep twice. It was the worst. But so then what I did after was I thought, okay, maybe my guides wanted me to be asleep because they were doing some kind of psychic surgery on me and they were like healing something that I couldn't see. And so everybody that shared, because it was a group regression, everybody that shared after, I took it as that was something that I was meant to know. And so I just took everybody else's experiences as they were meant to be my own. Anyway, thanks for letting me share that. This is my therapy. I feel so much better. Does it count that I meditate myself to sleep? Oh my God, a bunch of us fall asleep while we meditate. Amazing. Is there an orgasm guarantee for your courses? Absolutely. Well, you know, me and my friend Rebecca, who's in here right now, we did a we titled the workshop "And She Rises," and it was basically so that we could teach women how to have orgasms, because there's so many women who do not have orgasms, and your human body is designed to have an orgasm. So if something is blocking you from experiencing that kind of joy, whether it's by yourself or with another person, we wanted to teach women how to experience pleasure. And, you know, a lot of the times we have trauma that blocks us, or, I mean, that was basically what the whole workshop was about. But we could do another one if enough people are interested. DM me if you are. We want everybody to be having orgasms. Orgasms are the shit. Everybody should be experiencing the bliss of sexual power. Okay, let's see. Did you ever struggle with communication or speaking your truth and being seen? I shared this at the beginning of the live, but I used to be a narcissist. So no, I love attention. I want everybody to listen to me all the time. In fact, I used to use my victim story whenever and wherever I could. Like, I have this one very vivid memory of being wasted drunk. This is my second husband had just left me. My life was falling apart. And I followed him to Atlantic City with our dog on a bus from New York City. It was crazy. And I was drunk as fuck. And I was about to get arrested, and they were going to take the dog to the pound. And I was like, please, my parents killed themselves. And they were like, what are you talking about? And then that had happened 10 years before this arrest. And I was still trying to use it. Anyway, I don't really think that answered the question, but I think that because my parents died when I was so young, I never had this, and my parents weren't really even parents when they were alive anyway, but I never had this idea that I had somebody to impress. I never had to impress my parents. I never had standards to live up to because I didn't really have parents. So I feel because of that, I've never had a lot of shame. I've never felt held back by anything. And even now, though, in spiritual awareness, I've never been scared to share anything because I know that the world is not real. So, what do I give a fuck? This world is not real. It is actually not real. I'm not saying this in a spiritually bypassing way. I'm just letting you know that you don't have to be scared of anything because this world is not real. There's dozens of different faiths that all say this. The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz, ancient Toltec wisdom, he talks about the smoke in the mirrors and that the world is an illusion. Course in Miracles most certainly says that this world is a dream. It can be a nightmare or a happy dream, you decide. Buddhism, Hinduism, all these Eastern philosophies, they all talk about Maya, the great illusion, or in Hinduism, they call it Leela, the cosmic play. This place is not real. Don't be scared to be your biggest, baddest self. This place is not real. Everybody that you're scared of judging you, they're going to die one day. And guess what? So are you. And won't you be so disappointed to make it to your life review and say fuck, I didn't do anything. Because I was so scared to be my truest self that now I have to fucking go back to Earth and do it all over again because I got to figure out how to be my biggest, baddest self. Just do it this time. Okay, let's just be done here, okay? Thanks for letting me share. Okay, I'm just getting to the comments about the kidneys. I wrote my book. My book is finished. Somebody said, you can't make this shit up. Write a book, girl. I wrote my book. It's finished. But I didn't even add the thing about the kidneys now that I'm telling that story. Okay, that's for book 2. Welcome, everyone. Hello. Cosmic Orgasm, 10 out of 10. Highly recommend. Oh, my God. Yeah. Well, a near-death experience is the ultimate orgasm. A near-death experience is like having 10 million orgasms at once. Is it better to orgasm from people or from oneself until you meet the one? I don't think it's not one size fits all. I always say this shit about literally everything. There is no one size fits all, but I think that experiencing bliss with another person is really cool. I mean, almost because experiencing bliss with yourself is so easy. Obviously we all know how to do that. And if you don't, please reach out because you should. But being able to truly release and allow yourself to relax to the point of being able to experience pleasure with another person is actually tits. It's so cool because it's cosmic communication. Your bodies are communicating with each other, and that's fun. You have the best twin flame story I've ever heard. Came across it a few weeks ago and I couldn't stop laughing. Yeah, it is really funny. Thanks. I just had my boyfriend like test read my book, and like it talks about that twin flame story inside of it. And I was like, do you understand? I mean, he doesn't like understand any of this stuff. He's an atheist, but I wanted a perspective of a non-spiritual person. I was like, do you understand what I'm talking about at all? Am I making it easy enough for somebody who's not spiritual to understand? And he was like, I think I understand. He was like, I understand that you were batshit fucking crazy. And I was like, okay, that's the point I was trying to get across. Hey, David. Okay, there's a great workshop idea. Biggest, baddest self. That's true. Okay, maybe I'll do that one. Hi from Australia. Oh my God, I'm international. That's why people say, oh God, oh God. That's so when they have an orgasm. Yeah, that's totally true. Okay, I'm out of comments. Somebody asked me a spiritual question. Let me see if I have any on my, in my drafts. I'm sure somebody in here has one. Somebody in here is named Wyatt. I used to have limerence with a guy named Wyatt. Thank you for allowing me to have that sensory memory pop up. I'm just looking to see if anybody asked a question. Hi, Sean. We're just hanging out in the ether. What are some questions? Okay, let's see. What do you do when you're triggered and want to lose your shit? Lose your shit? What do you mean? Okay, this is what my mentor says to me. She says, you're never going to be perfect. Accept it. Just make sure that you have a broom and a dustpan nearby. So like, I don't have to pretend like I'm trying to be perfect. Okay. Being spiritual does not equal perfection. Messy progress always trumps perfection. So I'm just trying to be a little bit better each day. That doesn't mean that I don't have triggers. I absolutely do. In fact, I started this live saying that I felt like I needed a therapy session after like all the triggers that I just encountered. So I just need to make sure that I can make amends quickly, that I can clean up my mess quickly. And then eventually I'll hit my head against the wall so many times that I'll just decide, you know what? I don't need to rage out about this. I can just like decide to take a breath, take a beat, and think about it for a second before I react. Yes, but you can headbutt your boss and kick them in the face. Yeah, totally. You absolutely can. And you can also suffer the consequences from that, which is probably going to jail. But maybe that's all meant to be too. Who knows? Anyway, I'm so grateful for this energy. I need to go live more often. I don't know why I don't, because I love the way that it feels to interact and to stare at myself. I'm super grateful for all of you. Here, this is what I do at the end of every session. I always open up this book. It's called Angels, Spirit Guides, and Goddesses. I just open it up to a random page to see what spirit wants to make themselves known. Let's see who wants to come out and make themselves known. Oh, okay. These are the ministering angels. Just like a whole crew of them. They want you to know that they're supporting you. It says that the ministering angels will help you heal physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, find guidance and direction, give comfort to a loved one, overcome hardships during times of disasters or great violence. Perfect. Totally, absolutely perfect, guys. Guess what? The ministering angels are all with you. They love you. Somebody asked, how concrete is the barrier between this reality and the other side? It is literally non-existent, like not concrete at all. It's just, well, yeah. I believe that things are in levels, in layers, but I have to sign off or I never will. One more for the road. Moses. Heard of him? Parted the Red Sea. My Jewish brethren. Says Moses will help you illuminate your way, understand the power of faith, and create abundance. Oh, we're here for it. Somebody said, I was blown away watching your interview with Alex. Have you always been so fluid with your thoughts and word flow, or did this happen after your NDE? I used to be a meth head, so I've always been really into rambling off lots of words quickly in succession of each other. But I do believe that my consciousness was opened up by the spiritual experience and eating a fuck ton of psychedelics. I used to have no brain capacity. Now I seem to have quite a bit of it. Okay, now I'm really going. Be wavy. Look for my upcoming workshop on how to heal your shadow self. Or not how to heal, but how to love, how to integrate the shadow self. Okay, bye. Be wavy.